Hi, welcome to another Average Show Hockey Report. In this video, we're going to do the opposite of the past video, whereas before I did the 5 goalies that I think we're going to have a better season. I'm going to do 5 goalies that are going to have a worse season next season. This list does not necessarily imply that they're bad goalies. They're just necessarily more or less on weaker teams, I think, and that just won't necessarily do as well as they did last season. Just my opinion. Number 5, and this reinforces what I just said, Philip Grubauer. Now, I might be wrong here because Grubauer did also put up some good stats in Washington too, but there's a big difference between going from Colorado to Seattle. Seattle, I think there will be a hard-nosed team, a more of a hard-working team, but I'd like to think that it's easier to play for Colorado than it is for Seattle, but that's just me. At number 4, Cam Talbot of the Minnesota Wild. Now look, I know Cam Talbot has had some pretty good seasons in the last two seasons. However, he's had some pretty good seasons. He When he got traded to Edmonton, it was the same thing. He had a couple of good seasons and then struggled in his last 2 seasons with the Oilers, and then didn't fare so well in his 4 games with the Philadelphia Flyers. So he's also 34 years old, so that's why I think he could tally off. And then to add to it, losing Brad Hunt and Carson Soucy, and then and also I guess Ryan Suter, although I don't blame him for buying him out. But then they replaced him, as I stated before, with Alex Goligoski, Dmitry Kulikov, and John Merrill, so that's why I have Talbot at number 4. At number 3, now look, I'm not necessarily saying this because I dislike Jack Campbell. Well, I mean I do, but the reason, I mean, like, I'm not a fan of Campbell's, lack of mobility, lack of side to side movement and whatnot. But you know, this was something that was sort of exposed against Montreal. And the scary part is, just wait till you play against like Tampa Bay, Florida, and Boston. So I'd like to think that Campbell's gonna have, gonna be facing tougher teams and whatnot. Now, that's and that I think the Leafs were smart in acquiring Peter Mrazek for that matter. Because yeah, I don't think Campbell's gonna be as good as he was last season with the tougher competition in front of him. At number 2, again, I'm not saying this. I'm not just saying this because I dislike him, but Mike Smith of the Edmonton Oilers. I think Edmonton's still going to be pretty good. Don't get me wrong. But with Smith approaching 40 and the offseason that the Oilers had, and remember, Smith didn't necessarily play in the start of the season, so he was sort of rested. That's why he went on that hot streak for Edmonton. But I'd like to think that all those factors, he'll be healthy coming into this season, coming into the next season. The team in front of him is weaker, and you're playing against the Vegas Golden Knights, who should still be really good, and then the Kraken might give them a hard time. The Kings, who knows, they might be on the rise. So yeah, that's why I say Mike Smith at number 2. My number 1, though, is from the Chicago Blackhawks, Marc-Andre Fleury. I mean, again, I do like Fleury, don't get me wrong. I think he's an absolute character and he's got the ability. But we're talking about going from Vegas to Chicago. It's from one extreme to another. Vegas is trying to win the cup, whereas Chicago, trying to somewhat find an identity. I thought they were rebuilding, but then they went for Seth Jones, and so yeah, that's why I think Fleury. That's why I have Fleury as number 1. I just think he's gonna have a hard time in Chicago with the new identity, the weaker team, and whatnot. Yeah. This video is mostly based on opinion and may not have any implication on, or may not be the outcome of how these 5 goalies do during the next season. So remember, if I'm wrong, don't belittle me, educate me. Take care, everyone, and follow my Instagram account, Average Joe Hockey Report, and my YouTube channel, Marty Tommy, in parentheses, Average Joe Hockey Report.